Back in that bag again. Whoa, yeah.
Welcome to the Splash City Basketball Podcast, where we talk everything hoops in the land of 10,000 lakes, from high school to the pros. I'm your host, Steve Hartman, and today's episode is the second installment of a 5-part series on greatness at the position. We're breaking down each of the 5 traditional positions in the game of basketball. If you missed part 1, check it out. We talked point guards with my point guard growing up, all the way through my competitive playing days with my buddy Eric. Before we jump into today's discussion, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow on social media at Splash City Podcast or Splash City B-Ball Podcast on TikTok. I have made the move to TikTok. Today, we are talking shooting guards, scoring guards, combo guards, whatever you want to call it, kind of positionless world of basketball. But this is kind of the two-man, the premier scorers in the league across the NBA, some of the best players to ever play the game. And there's no one better to talk two guards, shooting guards with than Kevin McKenzie, longtime high school coach, college coach in the Twin Cities, and owner of McKenzie Shooting Academy. Kevin, thanks for joining. How you doing, man?
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me back. Excited to talk shooting guards with you.
Yeah, feeling refreshed, feeling good, ready to go?
I am. I'm feeling good. I just got back from a week-long vacation in Oregon, so feeling refreshed, reboot the batteries, ready to go.
Yeah, it's dog days of summer right now, but it won't be too long. I was kind of thinking about like the NBA starting to release their schedule, the college teams kind of solidifying their schedules, and like in a month we'll have Timberwolves practice and all kinds of things, Lynx playoffs probably. So yeah, it's not too far away, man.
Yeah, talk about shooting guards. McBride just broke the record for threes in a game.
Yeah, she is. I mean, the Lynx they've had a couple of them, throughout their run too. So yeah, let's talk shooting guards. So like just in general, I kind of start with the characteristics, what you're looking for. If you were to build an ideal 2-guard shooting guard, it could be in this day and age, but just in general, like outside of, the physical tools of just size or whatever the build is, but like, what are some of the things that you would say, like, this is what makes an elite 2-guard?
I think you mentioned it right off the bat. 2 guards, in my opinion, they got to be able to get some buckets. It helps if they can shoot from distance, but some of the best 2 guards that I've coached against or played against were more mid-range or slasher types that were just hard to defend. But the thing they have in common is they can get buckets. And so when I'm looking for a shooting guard or putting someone in that spot, that's one of the things that I look at. The other thing is some versatility. Like, if you have a point guard, a lot of times you're going against coaches that want to just take away the ability for your point guard to bring the ball up, and they'll take, especially at high school, they'll try to face guard or just take that away. So your 2-guard needs to be an adequate ball handler as well, and be able to bring the ball up and spell that point guard as needed, especially against pressure. And so they need to have some ball skills, be able to make the right play, and if they're being doubled or they're loading up on them. And then, I need my 2-guard to be able to defend a little bit, move their feet, slide their feet, stay in front of the other 2-guard. If they're an elite defender, great, but they got to be serviceable. They got to have some lateral quickness to them for the most part. Not saying if they're an elite shooter that you don't find a way to get them off the court and get them the ball, but it's always the best of the best. 2 guards can also slide their feet and guard the other players on the team. So those are the 3 things that I look for in shooting guard. It always helps in any position to be able to rebound to your position. But if your 2-guard isn't your best rebounder, you can still survive.
Yeah. That's funny you mentioned the defensive side of it, because I wrote that down as well. Just looking at like the all-time greats that we'll get to later. I mean, they were all NBA defenders, pretty much every one of them. And I think that is true. I mean, like you said, you can get away with it, but you probably won't be a starter, if you're not solid defender. The couple things I put down, the ability to read screens, I think is maybe, some, I don't know if it's a lost art, but like that to me stands out when guys, and I think, Steph is more of a point guard, but like he's one of those guys that, it kind of goes into this like ability to score at all levels. I think for a two guard, you have to be able to do that. You can be better at some than others. But if you're reading screens, you can get downhill easier. If you can make cuts, things like that, where you're, playing off a ball screen, obviously in today's game so much, but, I think those are things that I put down. And then the other one was short memory. Cause if you're going to be an elite scorer,
That's all
you
scorers, right?
yeah, I know. You miss 5 in a row. You're not going to stop shooting. I don't think Kobe and Jordan have had any long-term confidence problems with their scoring ability. So you just got to have a short memory and keep confident, keep putting it up, right?
That's good. That the thing about being able to read in the NBA, the elite shooting guards that I have on my list at some point in their career, and you see it with Anthony Edwards recently, is they get themselves in that mid post because it makes it a little tougher for them to bring double teams. And then they also have an area where they can read and see where they're loading up and see how the defense is going to play them. And that mid post area is a little tougher for defenses to react to. So yeah, that, being able to read screens, but also then, finding spots on the court where you can be effective when teams have game plan for you. And I think every elite two guard in the NBA has found their way to the mid post at some point.
Yeah, and I mean, there's certainly guys who, Jordan, for all his high flying acrobatic plays that he had early in his career, learned to where his bread was going to be buttered, right? Like he got to that point in his career where he got to, I have a shot that I can get to, and nobody can really do anything about it if I want to get there. And Kobe did similar stuff. So there, yeah, I think that's having, I don't know if it's a go-to move, but like there's definitely things to that where as a scorer, you have to have something you can get to. And, Anthony Edwards, you brought up, I think they talked about that all last offseason, right? Was like, he was adding things to his game that he felt he could get a bucket on late in the fourth quarter, in the playoffs, whatever, but he had confidence in it because he had just absolutely repped it out all summer long.
The one that I think about, I don't have him in my top 5, but the one guy who could get to a spot and just there's nothing you could do about it was Paul Pierce, where he just that elbow mid-range, one dribble pull up. If he got to that, is just there's nothing you could do about it, especially in his prime.
Right. I mean, Carmelo, he's not a shooting guard probably per se, but like same thing, right? Like he just had that game, that elbow game, like totally lost art. Do you see that much in younger kids or in high school? Because that seems to be just now that we're talking about it, just like a thing that every great scorer gets to that elbow area.
I think that, when we did scouting reports, we always talked about this is a 3-level scorer. And every time it was the leading scorer on the team, if it wasn't a big, it was because they were a 3-level scorer. And if you want to average 16 or above in high school these days, you got to be able to get to that mid-range. And I think there's a lot of coaches that really bought into the analytics, like layups or threes, and people really drove that home. But over the last maybe 4 or 5 years, people have realized it's not so much that you have to shoot threes or layups. You have to shoot shots that put you above 50% effective field goal percentage. And for a lot of players, that mid-range is a above 50% effective field goal range shot. So we had a guy, Alex Schrepfer, who was great in the mid-range, and we encouraged him to take the mid-range shots. So I think it's kind of coming back. There's still coaches that are either layups or threes, and mid-range shots are terrible. But I think there's a lot of high school players that are shooting those mid-ranges because that's what's available. And if you want a somewhat uncontested shot, that's the one that's there. And if you can make it, then great.
Right. And I think more coaches are okay with kind of running guys off the 3-point line because of that, right?
Yeah.
Like people want threes and layups. Well, if you know there's sitting on a three and you run them off, kids got to learn to one dribble pull up, hit that mid range. And so that, maybe is a natural flow of the game and how it's being taught and coached over the last few years. Think when you think about like guys you played against, great scorers, what was, you're looking at, hey, he can get to all three levels, he can score, he can beat us in multiple ways. What was the kind of philosophy to defend him, a guy like that? Is it throw multiple bodies at him? Were you trying to just take one thing away? Like what was kind of your mentality, or is your mentality?
So, when I was playing, I mean, my lateral quickness was my worst attribute. Like I was so slow laterally, it wasn't great. So, it depends who's guarding. If they're an elite 3-point shooter, I want to crowd them and I want to force them to shoot other shots than 3-pointers. So we might crowd them, and if they turn the corner, then we need to have help there, or we need to have somebody, on the backside ready to rotate. If they're not a great shooter, then we might play off a little bit and, let them operate and try to get into the ISO and then just contest as much as we can. And then if they're super quick and just a slasher can get down, then we would just overload. You can see it in the NBA when Ant has the ball on the wing. They're going to bring a guy, since they have 3 seconds in the lane, they're going to bring a guy all the way over to ball side and overload that side of the court. And that's what you do with guys. Like, there's nobody who can stay in front of Ant, and if he gets a step on you, it's a layup. So teams are just literally just not even help side. They're overloading that one side, and then they'll rotate on the backside. And that it all depends on who the scorer is. But the number one thing is stay down, don't bite on pump fakes, and then just make them have to work for everything. Contest everything, get a hand in the face, try to wall up, try to be physical, and then bring help as needed when you're going against elite scorers. And there's some guys, there is I don't know if you remember Sywick. He was a really good player at Rosemount. He's at University of Duluth right now. He was just a problem. He's a 3-level scorer, really good shooting guard, one of the best shooting guards I've coached against. But he really preferred to get to his left. So doesn't mean he couldn't go right. He just preferred getting to his left. There's a lot of really good right-handed scorers like to go left, just because it's more comfortable getting into their shot. So we would try to take his left away and make him score going right. So every scorer has some things that they prefer to do, and you just try to take those away the best you can. And then it's team defense time, unless you have some super elite defender, which most teams don't have guys who can just be on an island and shut down elite scorers on their own.
You mentioned pump fakes there, and I think that's one thing that we haven't talked about, but like scoring, no matter the position, but some of these guys we'll talk about, great at getting to the free throw line, solid free throw shooters too, because it, like you said, it just becomes difficult to slow them down, and they know that, and they can get to multiple things, and it just draws more fouls. And that's, the sign of a great scorer is, all 3 levels, but also that free throw line. I always love that, because you're, getting the other team in foul trouble is 1+. You're getting free points, which is the other side of it.
Yeah, the top scorers in the NBA, it's not crazy. They're the top free throw shooters in the NBA as well. SGA, Luka, Ant's in that mix. They're getting to the line.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's anything else on shooting guards or two guards, whatever we want to call them nowadays, that you want to hit on before we get to
The
our
last
list?
thing I'll say is your shooting guard better have some swagger. Like he better be
Yeah.
one of the confident, because he's usually not the tallest guy on the court. But you need a little dog in you if you're gonna play shooting guard at a high level. And so all the best ones I had just were ultra confident, ultra swagger, and that I always like guys that have a little bit of that in them.
Yeah. Yeah. I had written, when I wrote down defense, I just put in defensive intensity because
Yeah.
I was like, you're not always going to be the best defender, but I think you're right. Like you got to have a little bit of a dog to you. You're going to get the best, if you're a good scorer, you're going to get the best defender on you, a lot of best perimeter defender on you. And you kind of have to take that challenge on both ends of the court.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing we talked about with point guards before we get to our top 5 lists, we were kind of talking about how positionless basketball relates to defense as well now. It used to be kind of like you'd have Stockton versus Isaiah Thomas, the 2-point guards matching up. And now you see a lot more of like your best perimeter defender, no matter what position they are, they're guarding, the point of attack, whatever. You see that with Jaden obviously all the time. Do you see that with positionless defense as well? Like two guards, do they always guard each other anymore? Or is that kind of like we're putting our best defender no matter what position?
I don't necessarily match up by position. I match up by skill set and size. That's what really it comes down to. My best defensive team that I had was at Roseville, and we just had basically 6'3" to 6'5" in those positions, and we switched everything. And we had our two guards, Devontae Munson and Drew Adams, had super long arms, and they were just tall enough to kind of guard some size. But with the switching now, the matchups are less important. With how many teams switch everything. But versatility as a defender and having versatility, some size, that's why people and the Timberwolves went and got themselves a really big point guard. And I would imagine they're going to switch 1 through 4. They're going to switch everything. Even with Berenger out there, they might switch 1 through 5 now. But when you have that size at the point guard and shooting guard, it just makes it so much easier to switch everything. And then also if you have a versatile big as well. So we'll match up based on skill set and size, but it really doesn't matter in my scheme because we switch so much that it's more about positioning and recognition of who has the ball and what the scouting report is when that person has the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm thinking of like the Garnett Duncan, right? Like the 2 power forwards guard each other. Don't put the center on one of them. Like I want you two to match up.
It was positions, guarded positions.
Yeah.
You might have a little mixture with point guard and shooting guard. If your shooting guard moves a little better, you might have them on the point guard who might be shiftier. But it's a lot different now because of all the switching that teams do.
Right. All right. Let's move into our top 5 two guards, shooting guards from the state of Minnesota. I'll let you go first, and then I'll provide my list.
I'm gonna get my list up here. All right, these are guys, and so anybody watching, these are guards that I chose that were players I either played against or coached against. So from basically mid 90s to now. So if there are some old timers that I missed or something, there's a lot of them, but I'm going to start, with number 5. This guy was a bucket, shooting guard, I believe played at Seton Hall, a bigger, stronger guard. But his name was Darius Lane, and he had some very good college games and really long arms, silky smooth shot. But he could score at all 3 levels as well. And he was kind of a man amongst boys in high school, really good player. So that I had him at number 5. Number 4, you could kind of a combo guard. He handled the ball a lot, especially in college at Boston College. But just a really good scorer. He's coaching. I think he's in the coaching world now, but I'm not sure. But I got my number 4 is Troy Bell, and he was a very good player, tough to guard, really good scorer. My number 3 is probably one of the best shooters. He was kind of Steph Curry before Steph Curry. I was a senior at Como Park, and he was an 8th grader at Tartan, and he dropped 28 on us in the first half. And he's actually now coaching my alma mater at Como Park, and that's Jake Sullivan. Just an absolute bucket, and he had a great career at Iowa State too. Really can get down and score with the best of them. My number 2, I coached against this guy. He was at St. Bernard's. Talk about mid-range. He had the quickest pull-up that I've ever seen at the high school level. There was nothing you could do if he got downhill and just pulled up in the lane with his explosiveness and just then he had such a soft touch. He had a great combination of explosion and just touch around the rim and outside. But Jordan Jett, who ended up at St. Louis playing, and just a really good player. And then my best shooting guard, he is a point guard now in the NBA, but the best shooting guard that I saw in Minnesota high school over the last 30 years is Jalen Suggs. He just did it everything. I think the thing that I loved about Jalen so much, and he's played varsity as a 7th grader at Minnehaha, and I was at SPA during that time, is just his basketball IQ. The only other person that wowed me like that at that age was Tyus Jones when I first watched him as an 8th grader at Apple Valley. But Jalen had a little more athleticism, a little more explosiveness than Tyus, but he had that same basketball IQ. So we got a couple combo type guards there, but I'm calling Jalen Suggs a shooting guard in his time at Minnehaha, and those are my top 5 shooting guards over my career that I saw at the high school level.
Yeah, that's a solid list. We agree for the most part. I actually had Suggs on my point guard group, so I'll defer to you because you coached against most of these guys and probably know them better than I do. Watch them play up close and personal. I do have I have 2 that differ from your list though. Mine, I got Kevin Lynch at number 5. He scored 18 a game his senior year for the Gophers. He was on that Elite 8 team with Willie Burton.
That's a big shooting guard.
He was yeah. I mean, I looked it up because I was unsure of a lot of these guys, and he was 6'5", and they listed him as a shooting guard. So
he's a little bit before my time, a little bit.
Yeah. But a couple seasons with the Hornets, and then I had Darius Lane. As you noted, Totino Graces, Jake Sullivan, who was my age, so I knew all about him and his performances. And then obviously at Iowa State, just an incredible scorer. At number 2, I had Gary Trent Jr.
I was thinking about him, but he left us, so I didn't let him on the list. He left for prep school.
Yeah, I know, and I probably weigh a little bit more sometimes to that longevity of your like college and pro career because he's still in the league. I mean, that's just crazy that he's put together quite an NBA career as well. And then I actually had Troy Bell number 1, Big East Player of the Year. I mean, maybe it's because I follow him on Insta now. I get all his videos, but man, it's just talk about a quick trigger and just toughness. I mean, that was the old Big East with Syracuse and UConn and Pittsburgh, and like that was the real Big East that he was winning Player of the Year.
Those Big East days, yeah.
Oh, dude, the best.
He was a true 3-level scorer. He was. Yeah. He could score at any spot on the court.
Yeah, and not the biggest guy. I think he was 6'2", maybe. But just
he had broad shoulders. That was the thing that he he could really guard the ball and kind of back you down and then, have the shiftiness as well. But I just remember his shoulders being so broad that it's tough to get to the ball or affect it.
Mm-hmm. And just to be clear, again, everyone's got their list, so we don't want to. There's not a lot of Greater Minnesota guys on this list this time, but I do want to mention a couple other names. I don't know what you consider this player, point guard or shooting guard, but I had to include Paige Beckers. Already one of the greats, like just phenomenal. Anthony Tucker, which I think was a two guard at Iowa for Minnetonka. Lawrence McKenzie, and then Blake Hoffarber. He's got so many like SB Sports Center type plays. You almost have to.
And if you're saying Paige Beckers, you got to add Maddie Greenway to that mix.
Oh,
as well.
Shoot. Yeah, of course.
But there is one that when I grew up, when I graduated, there was a guard at Johnson, and he's actually related to Jalen Suggs. His name was DeMar Suggs, and he was a problem at Johnson. He also played quarterback for him, and he ended up going to Idaho State, I believe. But he was a problem, and being a St. Paul guy, that was the dude in St. Paul. There's a few other really good players, but that dude was a problem.
Johnson's had a handful of guys that have been pretty tough, especially like shooting guards, combo guards for sure. I try to think like Greater Minnesota. We had Nate Wolters was on Tech, and he was on our list for point guards the other day. But I'm sure I'll get raked over the coals.
The Tyler Vaughn, the Bram boys.
Oh yeah.
The Caledonia boys, the Kings were all monsters. Just tons of Southern Minnesota two guards to be exact. Like so many. It's just always hard to gauge that because the inner city competition was so much competitive in the late 90s, early 2000s. You think of a guy like Mo Hargrove at Highland Park. Who played for Arkansas State and the Gophers. He was a problem. But in the late 90s, St. Paul and Minneapolis was just a problem. There's so many good guards.
Yeah, between North's run and then Patrick Henry's run, like they just had so many studs right there. And Washburn had some good players. De La Salle, there's been a ton. I don't know what that. The thing is, again, you don't always know the positions they play, but like guys like Alan Anderson, Todd Bauman in the early mid '90s, he was crazy too, and ended up playing for the Vikings, obviously. But a lot of names, And
I'll say Wiggins from Wayzata was the most impressive player that I've seen the last few years, just overall game. So I think he's up there as well. Yeah.
Unfortunate injury for him for his freshman year, but I'm sure
now he got Ty Schlagle at Creighton that messed his knee up as well. It's a bummer.
Yep. No doubt. Well, on that note, bringing us down with all these injuries for these guys. Let's go to it is. Let's go to the all-time, like these are primarily NBA guys, but like all-time shooting guards. If you want, I can go first on my list since you went first with Minnesota. This was tough. The top 3 or 4 were pretty easy. I struggled with the 5th. So I have MJ, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Jerry West, and then I struggled for the 5th spot. I landed on, and I had to double check to make sure this is his position. It said primary position shooting guard. It was George Gervin, Iceman. He was my 5th.
You're going back. So
I am going back.
We have 3 of the same guys, right?
Yeah.
But when I do these top 5s, I'm like, if I didn't see them, like if I didn't watch them, it's hard for me to judge them. Like I've seen highlights of Gervin and Jerry West. I know the folklore and like, those guys were monsters, but I didn't see them. I don't know.
It doesn't count.
It's hard for me to know. So I kind of gauge my top 5 in the 80s, 90s, 2000s and up. But
that's fair.
It's hard to argue Jerry West. That dude was a monster.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I try to give a little love to the old, just because I know we're gonna hear about it if I don't. So I'm like,
yeah.
but not to say he didn't deserve it. He definitely did. 14-time All. I mean, he's the logo, right? Like
I'm never one of those guys that say that dude couldn't compete in this day and age. That's not. I
it's
don't think
different.
that's fair because if you
Yeah,
say that, well, then he gets all the added benefits, the science and the
yeah,
technology that all our players have now to help them improve. So if you give them
yeah.
those, they're probably just as good, like Oscar
Hmm.
Robertson, all those guys,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
monsters. But yeah, I kept mine 80s and up just because
yeah.
I if I didn't see them in person or on TV myself, it's hard to know.
Right.
But I'm gonna give my fifth best shooting guard that I've seen in my life. I'm gonna give that to Anthony Edwards. And it's a little premature. It's a little early in his career, but I just like that dude's amazing. You know,
Yeah.
and how other teams load up on him and the attention that he gets and how he's still effective and all the ways that he can score and all the things that he can do. Um, and the clutch, he has some clutchness to him and that swagger I talked about. I mean, nobody has more swagger than Anthony Edwards. But that I have that guy as my fifth best shooting guard that I've seen in the world. And again, I don't have Steph Curry. Steph Curry's in my top five of all time basketball players, but I have him as a point guard. So
Yeah, me too.
I
Yep.
just want to make that known. Steph Curry
Yep.
is a top five of basketball player in my mind. Period. My fourth best, and this is just me just loving the bulldog in him and just how impossible he was to guard and the competitive fire he played with, and just how impossible he was for people to even handle at the size that he was at 6 feet. But I'm gonna go with Allen Iverson. He was amazing,
Hmm.
and just how effective he was, not just height wise, but he wasn't even really a bulldog strength wise. He was kind of wiry, strong.
Yep.
Like, he was a pretty skinny dude, and just
Yep.
how effective he was. And I think he's a top five shooting guard in my lifetime. Then I'm going Dwayne Wade. Loved all the way from Marquette all the way up to Miami, and the year that he won the title before LeBron got there, I just don't think there was a better basketball player in the league that year. I thought he was unbelievable,
Hmm.
impossible to guard defensively. Loved how he rebounded his position, shot blocking at the two guard spot was amazing. Just all the things that he brought to the game. I thought Dwayne Wade is a top three shooting guard of my lifetime. Then
Hmm.
I'm going Kobe Bryant, and then Michael Jordan. And that's pretty self explanatory. I think most people have, as far as shooting guards go, them one and two.
Hmm.
I would love to hear the argument for them not to be one and two. Like, you got some old timers that might put Jerry West in front of Kobe, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But those two, and quite honestly, when you really break it down, I mean, Kobe took a lot of his game from Michael and had the athleticism to do it.
Hmm.
I always thought Michael was just a little better, but Kobe's not that much far behind, and they both are. I would have loved to see what Michael Jordan would have done in this day and age with the volume 3-point shooting, that because he wasn't a bad shooter. It just wasn't part of the game when he played for to
Hmm.
shoot 10 threes in a game. But I bet he would have had nights where he hit 10, 12 threes in a game. It's
Yeah.
like,
He would have been giving the shrug to everybody all the
yeah,
time.
it would have been a shrug all the time. Yeah.
It's
So,
funny you bring that up because when we did the point guard discussion, I talked about John Stockton being like, he shot like over 42% for like 4 or 5 straight seasons and took 2 threes a game or 2.5 or something. And I'm
yeah,
like, in today's game, he would have been doubling that. And that's like 6 or probably 8 more points a game for Stockton. So yeah, it
yeah,
is. That's why I think it's always so hard to compare eras because the game just changes so much. But if you keep it in mind of like, all right, well, would he have done this in this era, or could he have done that in that era? Um, yeah, it's a tough. The other thing you brought up, and I want to mention, was AI, because we were talking about like having a go-to, like, has there been a more go-to move than that cross? I mean, he even shook Jordan on it. Like that thing was unguardable at times, the
Yeah.
crossover.
Well, he set it up with that hezzy where where he just bring that ball up, and if you didn't slide, he was gonna blow by you on the hezzy, and then as soon as you slide, he'd snatch that thing back. He had
Hmm.
no chance. He was just so quick. But the thing that that commercial where you get knocked down 7 times, get up 8 or whatever it was, like all I
Yeah.
think about is Allen Iverson with that one. Like,
Yeah.
man, that dude he's just so tough and skilled and competitiveness.
Hmm.
And when he wanted to, that dude could guard as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he led the league in steals for a lot of his career when he was in the league as well.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah. I mean,
he's
we talked about defense and all these guys, right? Like Kobe was all defense. MJ was all defense.
yeah,
Ant is kind of like the can be, he just got to find it more.
he's 24
Um,
years old, man. So
I know. I know.
it's like,
He'll get there, but you're right though. Like his trajectory, I saw something about like his points per game every year. It's just like it's up and up and up, and like it kind of does feel like how MJ ascended with his point, and then but he needed the other things, and like maybe the LaMelo's the Pippen kind of guy we need. They're not the same player, but kind of that complimentary
we'll
guy.
call him Ron Harper. How about that?
Ron
We'll
Harper,
give
okay.
Lamelo the Harper tag.
Jaden's the Pippen. But yeah, even Jerry West, like this was why I added him. He was a 5-time All Defensive player. So I mean, he was. Yeah, I don't know that I would not have guessed that. I would not have said like I bet he was a decent defender. No, he was 5-time All Defense. So like even he and D Wade, like you said, the shot blocking, like these guys are all great defenders or can be great defenders. And so
Yeah.
that's a huge part of that position.
No,
two.
Ant might be
Oh,
a
go
little
ahead.
premature, but man, I love watching that dude.
Yeah,
I can watch him and Steph any night that those two are on the TV. I'm watching. I love watching
yeah.
those two play.
Um, I mean, Ant already 2 Western Conference Finals appearances. It's kind of like, just if I had to project out, if he wins a title, he's definitely in the conversation because his scoring isn't. It's not like he's going to start scoring 20 a game. Like his scoring is going to be what it is. It's going to be 25 plus probably for the next 6 years at least, right? Like he's got that, and he's clutch, and so yeah, I
Yeah,
could see it.
I think the only thing Ant needs to move to that next level is just kind of decision making and deep in the playoffs.
Hmm.
It's just, where we talked about earlier is these elite shooting guards like Michael and Kobe and D Wade and Paul Pierce. They had a shot. They had, whether it was MJ's kind of mid post fade away and Kobe kind of got there and like when we need a bucket, where's Ant going? And right now it's his kind of left hand step back 3-pointer, which he can make clearly, but it's like a 35% shot. He needs to find a shot that he can make more consistently than that in crunch time.
Hmm.
But that's the only thing that I see. I'd love to him be a little more consistent with defense and rebounding, but you know, there's other
Yeah.
guys who can help out there.
Yeah. I think the trial last year of not having a true point guard was that right where it was just too easy to double him. He was bringing the ball up too
Yeah.
much. And now with LaMelo, it's gonna be harder to do that. You can get Ant, move it a little bit, maybe getting him in some different positions on the court. Maybe you run a little ISO with him at the elbow type of thing late in games or something now if they can get some floor spacing. So yeah, it'll be I think this year there's a lot of excitement for sure. Like it'll be fun regardless, right? Like they're just going to be kind of a fun team. I saw they were going to be 27 national TV games or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, I'm excited. I think the biggest issue I see is lack of rebounding, which
Yep.
people don't really like to talk about because it's not that much fun. But you took away Randall and Naz Reid, which I think were our second and third leading rebounders on the team. Jaden for as long as he doesn't rebound great. LaMelo does rebound his position very well, as you know, so that helps. But I'm concerned about rebounding. I gotta be honest. We'll
Yeah,
see.
and if Rudy misses any substantial time, you're real small real quick. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I know they don't. There's a lot of teams in the league that are kind of going with a smaller four, like Spurs and the Knicks are kind of. I was even talking to somebody the other day about how like Anunoby at the four, the Knicks won the title, and he's not your typical four. I would say he's
yeah.
strong enough, certainly. Um,
But
but
you
even
guys,
Chet,
you got Hart, you got
right,
Anunoby, you got Cat, and you got Bridges that all
Bridges,
rebound their
right,
positions really well.
right.
Um, and I would
So
say our starting five, the only guys that rebound their position well is Gobert and LaMelo.
yeah,
So it's, we'll see. But yeah, I think
yeah,
that's what Conley was seeing is like, well, the two top three teams have one big guy and then a bunch of 6'6" dudes.
yeah.
Like, so why not? We can do that, and so we'll
They'll
see.
find out on opening night
With,
against Bam and
with San
Giannis.
Antonio, their one big guy is pretty special though. He's a
True.
little better than Gobert. Uh,
Yeah, he can do something on the offensive end, which yeah.
yeah,
Little tangent there from the shooting guard discussion, but
yeah.
definitely interest in Anthony Edwards' success or the Wolves' success this year. So um, I did want to bring up two guys that we didn't mention because this was who I was debating for my fifth was Ray Allen and
Hmm.
who was my other? Oh, Reggie Miller. Um, Reggie was very like traditional, like just come off screen shoot guy.
Yeah.
Probably not enough of a all three levels. I know he could, but he wasn't, he just never got to the finals, or he did one year, I guess. Um, but Ray Allen is kind of that, you know, I mean, at his younger years, certainly could get to the basket.
Yeah.
Kind of became like just a big time catch and shoot guy with the Heat and stuff. But
In Milwaukee, he was a 3-level scorer for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, could have
But
been
when
with the
when you
Bulls.
talk about the top five, and this is where Reggie and Ray Allen, specifically, the last half of his career, they weren't get your own shot type guys. They were
Yeah,
coming off screens, getting an advantage, and then reading and making the play. Both elite players, but that's where I kind of separate those top fives from those guys because then you can put Klay Thompson in
hmm,
that Reggie Miller and Ray Allen mix as well. At the height of his game, I think Clay's in that conversation as well.
yeah,
But those five that we had mentioned and the guys that you had mentioned, those guys can create. They have the ISO ability as well, which
hmm,
I didn't ever feel like Reggie and Ray Allen. Ray Allen Milwaukee years, yeah, he could ISO,
right.
um, but they were more like your prototypical come off the screen and knock down a shot or pump fake and make a move. Um, but yeah, there's some special scores.
Yeah, for sure. It does seem to be a pretty big, like, I don't want to say drop off, but you just see the difference, right? You see the
Yeah,
difference between those top guys and that next wave of guys who, they might be elite at one thing, but they're not quite as good at the overall game and can't get their own shot. So, yeah.
is SGA a point guard or a shooting guard?
Nah, I mean, he's another tough one because he does
Yeah,
bring the ball up, but what is he, 6'7"? I mean,
yeah,
he's a big, Luca was another one my buddy Eric brought up, and I'm like, I
he's a
guess
point guard. That dude, that dude never he barely ever passes the ball.
well, that's what I said. I'm like, what offense does he initiate other than Luca's offense? But he is a great
Yeah,
passer. He brings the
yeah.
ball up. So it's hard when
Lu-
there's like non-traditional stuff.
Luca is definitely one of the all-time best offensive players I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But it kind of stops there. Like, I don't see him affecting the game many other ways.
Yeah.
But man,
But
he's a special offensive player.
yeah. SGA is what I was talking to my son one time about. Like, I think what separates SGA from Ant at this point is what we've talked about is that I got my shot. I can get to this anytime I want, and you will not stop it, or rarely will I
Yeah.
miss this shot because I could just get to it. So, like,
It
um,
helps him to be 3 inches taller than Ant,
yeah,
like
Yeah.
Just get that mid range, and it's for most guards, he's not even seeing them. He just rises up
Mhm.
and just a little shorter. Just a little bit more contested, some of those mid ranges. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that is where I see it, is just SGA's never sped up, and sometimes
Mhm.
Ant gets sped up,
Mhm.
and I see that. I think
So,
you're right.
so what do you say on SGA?
I think I'd classify him as a shooting guard. I just don't enjoy watching him as much as I enjoy watching Ant and Allen Iverson. I think he's right there with Ant and Allen Iverson. I just enjoy watching Ant. I mean, SGA, I have tons of respect for. I think he's smooth. Love his work ethic. Love how he operates on the court. The foul baiting is tough to watch.
Mhm.
Um, but it's almost so workmanlike. It's kind of
Yeah.
like Tim Duncan almost, or
Mhm.
I was never like, yes, I get to watch Tim Duncan. It was more like, man, that dude is crazy good. Like, it's
Yeah.
a lot of respect to Tim Duncan, but I wasn't going to buy a Tim Duncan jersey. That's for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's a certain
SGA is
element.
the Tim Duncan of shooting guards. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yep. Kind of boring, but man,
Yeah.
it's productive
Very
and
effective. Yeah.
yeah, he's effective. So another one though that like I don't watch a lot of Thunder games and think, he wants the challenge on defense. And maybe that's just because he's surrounded by all time, like just a ton of great defenders. So he doesn't have to be, but like, he's the one that you'd probably want to attack offensively. So that might be,
He's an
again, a
adequate
separator.
defender.
Right.
When I see him, it seems like positionally he's where he's supposed to be. He's just not going to make those extra effort plays. It's like
Yeah.
that's why we paid Lou Dort and the
Caruso, Case
what's
and
the
Wallace.
Caruso and all those other guys. That's what we
Yeah.
pay those guys for.
Right.
But
Right.
I do
But
want to
that's,
give you, because I'm a huge homer, and
oh,
I do want to give you my top 5 Gopher shooting guards of all
oh,
time.
yes. I love it.
Yeah,
Let's do
we
it.
got time for that?
Oh, we got time.
All right. So we mentioned this guy, number 5. We mentioned this guy. Some of the best shots you've ever seen in your life. Won a couple ESPYs. Just one of the most pure shooters in Minnesota high school and college history. That'd be Blake Hoffaber. Just a prototypical shooting guard. Not
Hmm.
much of an ISO guy, but great
No.
elite shooter. Elite
Yeah.
shooter. The second one this is the first one where it's kind of combo forward, but he played more shooting guard in college, and he could not shoot, but he was a monster, and I enjoyed watching him play. And that one year where we didn't have any expectations, they made the tournament. I think one of Munson's years, and they played great defense. But Vincent Greer, I have as
Yeah.
number 4, and he was a good rebounder and defender. But
Hmm.
when Vincent was as healthy, he was as good a Gopher as we've had. Third, before my time, but he's up in the rafters, and he's one of the best shooters in the NBA history as well. But Trent Tucker,
Double
uh,
T.
shooting guard, yeah, and then Bobby Jackson. I don't know if they still classify him as a Gopher, if they just erased his time there, but Bobby Jackson was that was the most fun I've ever had watching a sports team, was that Final Four run in
Yeah.
1997. That was just a blast, and he was the best player on that team. And
Hmm.
then the guy that kind of made me fall in love with shooting, the number 1 shooting guard in Gopher basketball history, Vashawn Leonard. That dude was silky smooth shooter. Just loved watching. Perfect form, shooting form,
Hmm.
just unbelievable shooter. So had to fit in those top 5 men's basketball shooting guards of all time.
I'm
If we're
glad
gonna
you did
talk about
that
it. Yeah.
because Vashawn, like Willie Burton was probably my number one, my first, like I got into it from Willie,
Yeah.
but man, Vashawn was the man. He was
Yeah.
so good. I think he's the guy that,
The other guy on that team was Ariel McDonald, who
yeah,
I loved watching Ariel play, and
yeah,
I actually got to get to know him a little bit while he was at Providence, helping out and coaching a little bit. Really good guy, really good dude.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think Bashan was the guy that Izzo always talks about being pissed that Clem recruited because it wasn't or was he he was a Flint, Michigan guy, right? Bashan Leonard.
I don't remember. I don't know. I was
Okay,
too young to really be locked in where guys were from. I was just
I
giddy to
think I've
watch them
seen
play.
that story where Izzo was so pissed that Clem got him because he was all over Bashan Leonard,
Yeah.
and he was just mad that Clem got him out of Michigan. So I think it was him. It was either him or Willie, but yeah, Bashan was awesome. He was the all-time leading scorer, wasn't he, for a long time? Or I don't know, maybe they
I
erased
don't
some
I
records there
I'm
too.
not locked into that, but that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
he was he was the guy getting a lot of shots. He was the one guy who was
yeah,
putting them up.
yeah,
A lot of fun to watch, and
yeah.
man, I enjoyed watching Gopher basketball in the '90s. That's for sure. There wasn't a better ticket in town, even
No,
with the Vikings going on. That packed barn in the '90s, especially the mid to late '90s, not a better ticket in town. That place was rocking. That was so
yeah.
much fun.
Even when they weren't like great, like a lot of Ashan's years, I think they won the NIT one of those years,
Yeah,
maybe they were in the NIT, but like even those years, the place was full. It was loud. It was fun. I mean,
yeah.
Clem just had it rolling. Like it was I always feel bad because there's like two generations of people that have never seen the barn like that or the Gophers be really year to year competitive good. And it's unfortunate because there's people our age who like lived and breathed that stuff, you know?
Yeah, no, that's I'm nostalgic for the barn where everybody's talking about tear it down and rebuild it. Like I get it. Can we just kind of keep the old school vibe, but make it
Hmm.
nicer so they can make more money off the suites? I don't know, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'd hate to see that place go.
I'm a big take out like the first or the last like 10 rows in the lower level and
Yeah,
open up the concourse because there's just not a lot. I mean, even Baylor's new arena is like 7,500 people. Like nobody's filling these 15,000 plus seat arenas except for Kansas and Kentucky and North
yeah.
Carolina. And so just go down to 10, make it a little, clean it up, like keep the barn. Like you got to keep that barn
Re,
structure. It's just they just renamed it the
we,
barn
yeah,
officially.
we replace the troughs in the bathrooms too. We
We
can
could do
move away
that.
from the troughs.
You're not nostalgic for that part of the barn?
No, that, that part was not enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, those are that's a great list. Still didn't you just didn't have Kevin Lynch on that one though either.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if I didn't see Kevin play very much. I
Yeah,
know I respect for his game. I always thought he was like a small forward, but I never really saw him play. So,
yeah,
you
he
know,
might have been. Yeah, I'm just
yeah.
giving you a hard time. Yeah, yeah, Hoffarber's shot against Indiana in the Big Ten tournament is like one of the every year they show it on the Big Ten tournament previews and stuff. Like that's an all timer. Yeah, for sure. Vincent Greer, that's a great name to pull though because you kind of forget. I think he was a JUCO guy, right? So he only played two
Yeah.
years, but he was,
And I
yeah,
was
he
on
was awesome.
staff his second year there, but he
Oh,
he
okay,
had a hand injury, missed a lot of the season, kind of
that's right.
derailed that season. Um, but that
Yeah,
year that he was a junior, Hagan and A Rob and Ben Johnson and Brent Lawson, and they just locked down defense. They totally bought into Coach Molinari's pack defense and just surprised everyone. Made the NCAA tournament, and
hmm
that was a fun year.
yeah. Well, hopefully Nico's got it on the right direction. I think he does.
Oh, he does.
Excited to see.
He
Yeah,
does. Yeah.
yeah. It'll
I
be.
think Gopher basketball's about to blow up here, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. You
Yeah,
know, talking to guys that are close to the program. I think everybody's feeling the same way.
yeah, yeah. Well, good stuff. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We're talking a little two guards, shooting guards. This was fun.
Yeah.
It's
You know
again
me,
not
man. I
meant.
love this crap. This is good
Yeah,
stuff. I'll talk hoops any day.
yeah. I mean, it's. I hope it's not meant. No slights to anybody that we didn't mention because there's a lot of great players. But
Yeah,
just a quick
that's the
list.
thing about top five lists.
Yeah,
It's controversy,
I know.
right?
Hey, it's
you're
August,
you're
man.
stirring the pot, Steve. You're stirring the pot.
It's August. We're just trying to get through the grind of the summer, and then we'll have some training camp and stuff to talk about in September. But yeah,
Yeah.
just thought it'd be fun. Like honestly, I like to talk about, you know, the position itself and like what are you looking for? Because obviously it's tough when, you know, you get maybe a shooting guard that's got certain qualities, but you can pair them with a point guard that's a little different than the traditional, and you know, it all kind of blends together at some point. You're just trying to put a team that's competitive and whatever. But I do think there are certain aspects, like you mentioned, the swagger. Like if you're going to be a good team, you got to have somebody with some swagger that could score the ball, and usually it's a two guard or shooting guard.
I will say that of all the positions that I've had, and I haven't been blessed recently, I was blessed with really good size, but I have been blessed with a lot of really good shooting guards in my career. Delonte Payton, who went to Winona State, Emmanuel Schmitter, who was 1,000-point scorer, Max Busley, who's at Gustavus right now, my son, Michael McKenzie, just an elite shooter, Charlie Burke, who's at St. John's, Devontae Munson and Drew Adams from Roseville. Like that is the one position where I've been blessed with some really good players. So it's whenever I'm thinking shooting guards, I'm thinking of those guys specifically to what I like. So, and sorry to any guys that I missed on that list.
Well, it takes an elite shooter to know one, right?
That's about all I could do. It's all I could do was shoot. I didn't have anything else to my game. So
shout out Hamlin Pipers, baby.
Yeah. Let's go Pipers.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on again. Thanks everyone for listening. Let us know who we missed. I'm sure there's some great players that we'd love to talk about. Love to have some back and forth on. Again, Kevin, thanks for being here. This is the Splash City Basketball Podcast.
Back in that bag again.